So today I'm gonna be doing a teaching on caging spirits. So I'm just gonna start right on. So a caging spirit, let me do a brief explanation. So some type of initiation to cage your mind to the true reality of somebody. It's typically an incantation or a spell. Have you ever saw the only way I could explain like demonic tongues or an incantation, it's things written backwards. So you see how like caging spirit backwards is like trips, ging kank. Like you'll hear somebody saying like it kind of sounds like that. Not literally like that because they're actually speaking backwards, but it's somebody like reading something backwards. So if you were to record them speaking this demonic tongue or this incantation, it would actually say something. A perfect example of this is some secular artists have this in their songs, where some people play their music backwards and it says some things. That's the caging spirit 100%. So they're trying to look for some type of initiation and they hide an incantation or a spell through that. Perfect example, somebody coming over doing a spell, somebody coming into the church, but they're an altar of witchcraft. The person in themselves is an altar of witchcraft. I also experienced this before. Somebody will get demons, carry them in their body, and try to offload them where you are. That's a perfect example of what a caging spirit does because there's a certain spell and incantation that has to be done to even initiate that and start that. And then there's also something that is done on the person who is on the receiving end so that this transaction can happen successfully. And that's why typically you find caging spirits get stopped, they get halted in their tracks when you're in the midst of a God fearing congregation, a real congregation, because they don't want anyone to be caged. This is the beginning initiation so that the enemy can come in and infiltrate. That's how come Jezebels can be in the congregation for years, for months. That's how come Delilahs and Samsons are being brewed. You know, it's not only just for the person who is in control, but it's to also groom everyone else into being somebody submissive. Because remember, every single bad person in the Bible, or evil person, I should say, had a group of people that were doing what? Were tolerating them. So the enemy is not only once again looking to infiltrate the church with demonic people, but also condition people and coerce people with incantations, with spells, with proposition witchcraft to get you to accept those things. So another way a caging spirit operates is major false prophets have and use these powers, kundalini. It's a false Holy Spirit. I'm not even going to get into details. It's plain and simple. It is a false Holy Spirit, false miracles, false healing, breathwork healing, Reiki. The list goes on. New age healings, manifestation healings, past life healings. All those things are demonic. All of those things are kundalini. All those things are ordained by Shiva. And those are the powers that major false prophets use. That's why you hear them talk about third eye, etc. They form a cult following clan crowd or groomers. This is something so important because the groomer part is when you start to become in idolatry, you start to use those idols and those things on other people. So this is not only a personal thing that you have in your life now. Now you're seeing enough results and you have enough idolatry in you to now start to try and infiltrate these things in other people. And that's where you become a groomer for the person that is the cult leader. Open doors to sin cause you to seek release that pushes you farther into delusion. So what the enemy likes to do at this point, now that you've developed idolatry, and now you're engulfed in this thing. That's how come, like, even people who were yoga teachers, once upon a time they were a yoga student, now they turn into a shaman and a wizard, etc. They get into shape shifting and all these demonic things. That's because the enemy has coached them and changed their position into a ringleader now. And then the enemy likes to make sure that you have open doors to sin, so that it doesn't matter how much you try and seek this release, there's always something else that needs to be fixed. And that's the good thing about God, because at this point, you're caged. At this point in the kingdom of darkness, where you have open doors that keep you in that loop, you're caged. But with God, He likes to break these things off of us first, give us a divine healing, cause us to go in a cycle of discipleship, to break that demonic cycle that keeps you caged. It turns into a cycle of freedom. And as you keep walking down that narrow path, shackles and chains continue to fall off, and it leads you closer and closer to freedom, rather than you're walking down this place with this false you're walking down this wide and dark path that is continuously adding more shackles. You end up getting worse in the end. So then at this point, you'll need deliverance from legions of demons, and it is one of the longest deliverances. Whenever somebody is being delivered for 5 hours, 10 hours, somebody is praying 20 hours for them. I saw this testimony. This person was manifesting, and this person was going through deliverance for weeks. Like, it was a continuous thing. Somebody was also sent to go pray for somebody. They were praying for these people for 21 days, 41 days, 71 days, things like that. That comes from being caged. So you have to uncage the person. You have to go through deliverance. You have to call back everything that was there. So it becomes this super long and tedious process to fully aid in releasing somebody who has been caged by a caging spirit. At this point, if you do not heed to the fact that you need deliverance, like real deliverance from Jesus Christ, satanic worship comes in. And it doesn't matter what somebody says, you will know them by their fruits. So when somebody is a satanic worshiper, they're engulfed in the things of this world. And this is where the wolf in sheep's clothing comes in, because a lot of people try to incorporate, for example, they say that they're a Christian witch, or they say they're a Christian yoga teacher. This is where the enemy likes to blur these things. And this is where God will successfully allow that to happen, because He offered you deliverance and you did not take it. So you end up being given to reprobate thinking. You're in satanic worship now because God has fully released you. And if God is not the God of your life, Yeshua and Yahweh, then it's Satan. Then you start to put on this garment or this facade that everything is sweet and it's kind, but it's not. The same way it says a thief comes through the back door. So you don't have the ability to be straightforward anymore. You take side doors. You start to lie and manipulate and deceive. That means you're really, really far down. And now you're going to have a lot of warfare as a result of this, because now you may even be lying to a child of God. You might even be deceiving people who are coming to you genuinely for knowledge. So you're pushing yourself farther and farther down that path. And instead of God fighting for you, now you become a foe. A lot of people say, oh, God is love. Jesus came with a sword to separate the wheat from the tares. Don't be a tare, because the tare is the enemy. But if you're yoked with the enemy, God really revealed this to me a while ago. He said, if you are yoked with the enemy and the enemy is getting ready to come to my child and attack my child, you're getting cut off with that too. That's why you might be in the night, Leviathan spirit, Jezebel spirit. You'll see all the Jezebels in your life that come in the form of people disappear. You'll see all the Leviathans disappear. You'll see those altars fall down, and somebody might even have an altar in their house, a physical, literal altar, and that might fall. So you want to be careful of whose side you're on and make sure that you're doing the right thing.